back. It's Thursday, so it's time for Talking Kids with Dr. Caitlynn. Lexington pediatrician Dr. Caitlynn Iddings is with us this morning, as always. And today we're talking about the importance of talking to your kids about puberty, since Senate Bill 150 just passed, removing puberty education from 5th grade curriculums. Yeah. So let's kind of start out by talking, why is it important to discuss to your kid about puberty?
Yeah, so puberty is inevitable, right?
Yes,
we're all going to have it at some point. And the average age of onset of puberty in the United States is 9 through 13 years old, right? So if you're thinking about that, most 9-year-olds are either finishing up 3rd grade or they're going into 4th grade. And so a lot of kids, there's been studies that show that 50% of kids do not get puberty education from their parents or in the home. So that leaves that, 50% that may get it incompletely. I mean, I don't know if you remember the talk that your parents gave you. I mean, some parents do it better than others, right? And so it is important that we are giving these kids information on how their body's going to change, what might happen physically, socially, just to their body as they're going through these changes. And usually, recommendations from the AAP is that you start very young with this, right?
Yes.
So there's this whole 8 is great campaign, because that usually is going to be where you're going to get most kids before they're going to start into this, so that you can say, this is what may happen. That, if you are a mother who was someone that started puberty early, that is a very genetic thing. So it's very likely that your female offspring will also do that. So kind of thinking back to okay, well, when did I start to go into puberty? Oh, okay, well, I was 10. Okay, so my kid is 8, so I probably need to broach that conversation earlier than someone who maybe didn't start until they were in high school, right? Yeah. And so that's important. We even discuss, starting as soon as they can talk, it's really important to be teaching appropriate anatomical terms. So calling a penis, a vagina, making sure that, your kids have those vocabulary words to be able to explain, heaven forbid, if they were molested. We've been talking about Child Abuse Awareness Week.
Yes,
this is what happened, this was the part that happened with. And so starting very young and making it sort of this dribble, drop effect, and not this fire hose that you just sit them down when they're, in 6th grade and say, this is what to expect, and give them 2 hours of information where they're just completely overwhelmed. But talking about it from a young age, saying these are our body parts, this is how you're different than a boy, this is how you're different than a girl. Making sure that as they get into grade school, kind of ages 5 through 7, that they get a little more curious about their body, about differences. But there's always that question of where do babies come from?
Right.
If you're not prepared to answer that question, say, we're going to talk about that. That's a very important question. And then go find a mom friend or a religious leader or some sort of resource where you can sit down, you can read through it, and you can feel better prepared to go with them with that conversation. Absolutely. And then, like I said, age 8, we should really be getting more. I mean, we don't have to get into gory details, but we should start to tell them more about, okay, these are things that are going to change. This is why your body is changing. This is the purpose and function of that body part, so that they're prepared for, because they're not hearing it from you.
Right.
They're going to hear it from their
They're going to hear it from their peers.
From their older sibling, from media, social media, and I mean, who knows what they're going to find on there. So you want them to have accurate information. You don't want it to be sort of this body shaming things. I always like to use the term protected parts instead of private parts, because when you said private, it makes it seem like it's this taboo secret thing, versus these are special parts of your body that are a little more sensitive than other parts. And so we need to make sure that they're protected by putting clothes on them, by not sharing them with others until we're older and can make that decision for ourselves. And so making sure that you're really trying not to make it shameful, trying not to make it this secretive thing, trying to make sure that you're giving them this empowering body image of, these are my parts and I'm confident in them and I know what they're for.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Caitlynn, thank you so much for all of those very, very important tips. Yeah. Stick around. The final look at your forecast is coming up next. Stay with us. GMK is back in just a moment.